In the smart ring world, there's three big options. If you want something like the Apple Watch, you'll be going for the Galaxy ring. It's expensive, it looks nice, and it works best with Galaxy phones. If you're grabbing an Oura ring, you're looking at something more equivalent to a Garmin. It's more enthusiast, it works with everything. It makes you pay a subscription. But what if you're in the middle? If you remember the early days of the smartwatch, you'll remember the Pebble. Affordable, worked on everything, it just worked, and there was no subscription at all. And although the Pebble was definitely more fun to play with, I think the RingConn fits that ethos nicely. My name is Harry, you're watching Probably Hades, and this is my review of the RingConn Gen 2 Smart Ring. The difference between buying a ring and most other pieces of tech is made immediately apparent when you have to select a size. And even if you know your ring size in US sizing or another standard sizing, it's not going to work here. A lot of smart ring companies, all of the three I mentioned earlier do this, have a slightly different sizing method, which is slightly bigger or smaller than the US sizing. This is because of the fact that it has a battery and a lot of other tech baked into it, and it makes it hard to size normally. RingConn has two options for size kits, both either free or extremely affordable. You can either get a free sizing kit sent out to you when you order your ring, or you can 3D print your own sizings at home. I don't own a 3D printer, although I really should, so I opted in to grab a sizing kit. Again, Samsung and Oura both have the same problem of non-standard ring sizing, but neither of them offer a 3D printed solution, only the send home sizing kits.
So both Samsung and Oura do have options that you can find that you can 3D print, but they aren't official.
Similarly to both Samsung and Oura, the company allows you to keep the sizing kit after you make your purchase, in case you want to size up a different finger or hand it over to a friend or someone in your family to try out for themselves. Also, quick disclaimer before I keep going here, I did back the project on Kickstarter, I didn't go through the standard purchase process, and as such what I receive here and review here might be ever so slightly different to what you receive in the mail as a standard consumer. I doubt they're going to change much, the unboxing and the product experience seems very polished, but I figured it was worth mentioning. When I first got my sizing kit, the first thing I noticed was the similarities between unboxing the sizing kit and unboxing an iPhone. That resemblance starts from the tab you pull to break the seal to just the overall aesthetic of the box and the experience. Ignoring all that, the sizing kit is pretty nice. There's samplings for the materials, the color, and the finish that the ring could come in to really cement your confidence on which one you want. And there's plastic models available for the 9 sizes on the RingConn Gen 2, ranging from size 6 to 14. I grabbed the size 9, left it on for 24 hours as they suggest, and went ahead and ordered that one. I got it in the matte black. Looking back, I kind of wish I went for the silver, but currently I'm going the MKBHD route. I think the silver would have stood out more. I prefer that look for jewelry, but hey, we're here now. And the matte black does look very nice. Once you've figured out the size and the finish that you want, there's a QR code inside the sizing kit box to finish off your order and get it sent out. Although because I ordered through Kickstarter, I wasn't able to use that. Now there were a couple issues that arose from the fact that it was a Kickstarter. Now going through and backing the project, no issues at all. Kickstarter is a very robust platform, obviously, for handling things like this. They've been doing it for a while. They know what they're doing, so I had no issues on that end. Even for such a large project like RingConn, which had over 18.3 thousand backers and raised 4.38 million US dollars, over 8,660% of their original funding goal, assuming ChatGPT can do maths now. Where the issues in the process started arising was when they started shipping out the rings. This moved the project off platform onto Pledgebox, a different platform designed for Kickstarters and Indiegogos and things like that, for surveying backers, getting sizing information, shipping details, all that sort of stuff. They seemed fine at first. I used them to back my Genki Kickstarter for the little SavePoint SSD thing, and that had no issues there, but they clearly were not anticipating the demand of the RingConn, and the survey essentially got hugged to death the second it went live. But whatever, that's not RingConn's fault, I just figured it was worth mentioning here. As far as I can tell, shipments weren't really impacted from the original timeline because of those delays, which is nice. The only real issue I had with shipping after that is that I didn't get an email for a shipping confirmation until after it had arrived in Sydney from the factory in Hong Kong. So essentially the way it went is it shipped out from the factory on the 3rd of October, arrived in Sydney on the 9th, which is when I got my first email, and arrived at my house on the 10th. And with that, we get to talk about the actual ring. Again, the similarities between an Apple unboxing and the RingConn unboxing become even more present. The packaging for the ring is even more identical to like an iPhone box with a picture of the product on the front, an embossed logo on the side, and like a print logo on the other side, and some basic info on the back. It looks very similar. I'm not really going to mention this any further going forward, but I'm sure you'll pick up on the similarities. Opening up the box, you get the standard USB-C to C cable, which is braided and branded, and I am a sucker for a branded USB cable. You also get the quick start and safety docks, the charging case, and the ring itself. I really like the idea for a charging case for products like this. I honestly wish the Apple Watch had something similar, or at least, a third-party accessory that's similar. After you scan the weirdly small QR code, like seriously, I had to go into ultrawide and just smash my phone against the paper, you'll be taken to download the RingConn app. As part of the setup, you get the app, create an account, and pair the ring to your phone over Bluetooth. An account is unfortunately mandatory for this, and that account requires you to be over the age of 18. Neither of those details are acknowledged anywhere on the product page, the box, the Kickstarter, nothing. So I'm sure you can imagine my disappointment upon realizing that if I was honest, I would not be able to use this app because I am 17. Comparing this to, for example, the Meta Quest, this also requires you to be over a certain age. Granted, that age is 10, but whatever. And it requires a Meta account. Both of those details are on the product page and even on the box itself. There's no reason to lock out anyone under 18 from using the app, probably just because they can't be bothered to figure out the logistics of storing health information for a child. With those concerns aside, the Ring is essentially set and forget, which is helped out by its up to 12-day battery life. The build of the 2nd gen RingConn is extraordinary. This thing is light as hell, which is probably due to its titanium build.
It's so small that it rolled off right there, trying to get that drone shot.
It's not even that much more heavy compared to the sizing kit, and it honestly gets to a point where it's just completely unnoticeable. The matte black color looks really nice, as I said earlier, but again, I would have gone silver if I could go back. The only real issue I have with the black is that it tends to look like it's scuffed really easily, but like, it's titanium. Most of the scuffs that I've experienced, actually all of them, I've been able to just rub off. There's also IP68 water resistance for every model, and I haven't taken this underwater, I can't really test it to its limits, but in my day-to-day use of showering, in the rain, dishwashing, things like that, it's held up flawlessly. And I really can't understate how small this thing is, coming in at 2mm thin, 6.8mm wide, and between 2 to 3 grams depending on the size. It is the smallest smart ring available on the market as of recording. The build of the case is equally as nice. It's made entirely from metal, has a USB Type-C port for charging the battery on the case, and has a silicone base to make sure it doesn't slip on a desk or bedside table. It is a bit of a fingerprint magnet, but so is every other dark colored tech, so I won't judge it too much for that. Now, the app isn't going to win any awards, and I honestly wish RingConn took more from Apple when they designed their app instead of their box. But it does the job well enough. On the homepage, you'll see your health stats for the day, including a nice wellness balance graph, which is shown as a radar chart comparing your stress levels, sleep, activity, vitals, things like that. Above that, if there are any, you'll see any info about abnormal trends or signs within your vitals, similar to the Vitals app on the Apple Watch. And as you scroll down, you'll see highlights of your most important data like steps, sleep, calories burned, stress levels, and heart rate. Below those stats, you'll see a timeline of your health events, which lays out the health aspects of your day, like how much sleep you had and when or if you beat your activity goals. The timeline also has a bit of journaling functionality, which you can use to add notes throughout the day. Under the Trends tab, you're able to see everything that the Ring records and analyzed, from your blood oxygen levels while you're sleeping to your average evening stress. The Trends tab is also where you'll access the sharing and view your weekly and yearly reports. And under the User tab, you'll be able to get information about your user account, the battery life of your Ring, your badges, and give you access to the settings, one of which is syncing data to Apple Health or Google Fit. The only major issue I've really had using the app is that if you're on macOS Sequoia and using iPhone mirroring, you just can't scroll. And they haven't updated the app with an iOS 18 dark mode icon yet, but that's a bit of a nitpick. Some of the options do feel a bit mislabeled. I feel like Trends isn't the most intuitive place to have sharing options, but I digress. Like I mentioned earlier, you can sync it straight to Apple Health and view most of your health data there, so you could just not use the app at all if you really wanted to. You mainly just won't get the kinda more niche things like stress tracking or sleep apnea detection, which I'll talk about that one later. There's some nice widgets available which you can throw on your home screen to check stats like your overall activity score, Ring battery, and steps right on your home screen. Now, considering this is a Ring, the tracking here is very robust. With the PPG sensor, temperature sensor, and the accelerometers, you're able to get a ton of info, like step tracking, calorie tracking, heart rate, blood oxygen, heart rate variation, stress levels, your stand duration, skin temperature, inactive levels, and even more. It is really impressive stuff. And if you opt to send in more of your sleep data to RingConn than usual, you're able to get sleep apnea detection.
Initially, I wasn't going to test the sleep apnea stuff because of the amount of data that it required you to send to RingConn, but I did end up testing it. Now, as a 17-year-old, the chances of me having sleep apnea are very low, and the fact is that I just don't. But I can at least show you how it works. Essentially, after you enable it, it checks 3 of your sleeps and then just gives you a rating of your risk of sleep apnea along with a history record and a couple questions about it. You can also check out the reports. There's single and comprehensive historic reports of your, I would assume, history and things like that. So that's all there if that interests you.
The amount of sensors here leads to some insane detail, including full sleep charts that show REM, time awake, light sleep, deep sleep. Like I mentioned earlier, you can view a weekly or yearly report of your health, which just kind of gives you a summary of how you've been going over that period of time. This all seems to work pretty decently, although some stats compared to my Apple Watch seem a bit off, particularly heart rate. I've had points during an exercise where my heart rate was over 30 BPM off what my Apple Watch was saying, and days where my step count tends to be inflated by over 2,000 compared to the watch. But importantly, it tends to accurately display trends. And most health professionals agree that the use cases of wearable health tech like the watch and the ring is mainly to analyze trends, not exact statistics. It will accurately record that your heart rate might have been higher during a more intensive period of your workout, but it's not going to accurately record exactly what that heart rate was.
The Apple Watch will show that trend over the course of the month.
Yeah.
But you tracking that number is purely for entertainment.
RingConn, also supplementary to the health tracking, is the workout tracking on the device. At the moment, exercise tracking is very limited, with only 4 workout types being available as of recording. Those being outdoor and indoor running, outdoor walking, and outdoor cycling. The app states that the workout mode is in beta and they'll be adding more in the future, but as always, never buy a product based on promises. In the workouts that are here, it's a pretty decent user experience. You can lock the screen during a workout and force the display to keep itself on so you don't have to fiddle with your phone mid-workout to unlock it, only to find that you accidentally stopped the exercise or something. There's a good amount of info on screen as well. You'll be able to see the distance you've walked, your calories burned, the duration of your exercise, and your heart rate with a nice zone indicator. On the walk I went on to test this feature, my heart rate seemed to be reported as much lower than my Apple Watch, like I mentioned earlier, with gaps of over 30 BPM. And that meant that my heart rate zone was stuck in warm-up essentially the entire time. But I was able to accurately determine the trends of the workout, which is, again, the most crucial part. The Apple Watch displays mostly the same information for an outdoor walk, with the inclusion of average pace per kilometer. The main complaint I have here is that there aren't any form of live activities, or basically any way to view your status of your workout when you're not in the app. There is like the default iOS background GPS use, but I wouldn't say that suffices. There's also no indication for milestones throughout a workout. Obviously, I'm not going to expect my ring to start buzzing and telling me that I've walked a kilometer, but it'd be nice to get a notification on the phone app, similar to what the Apple Watch does when you hit a kilometer walked. Something else I noticed is that while battery doesn't seem to be impacted as much as, for example, if you were running that same workout on the Apple Watch, the sensors don't seem to be as active as, again, the Apple Watch. They seem to only be recording on slower intervals, similar to what it would be doing if you were just using it as normal. Speaking of battery, it is damn good. It is so nice not really needing to charge this thing, especially compared to my Apple Watch, which does end up on my bedside charger every single night. The only reason I have had to charge this is because I'm reviewing this in the middle of my HSC exams, and obviously I can't wear any form of tech into those, so I put it in the charging case to make sure it doesn't get damaged. RingConn claims that with a size 6 to 7 ring, you'll get a maximum of 10 days, and a maximum of 12 days battery life with the 12 to 14 ring sizes. Now mine fits right in the middle between 8 to 11, and RingConn claims 11 days for that, which seems about right. I first unboxed my watch on the 10th of October, where it reported around 93% battery and just under 10.5 days of use remaining. By the 14th of October, when I put it away for the first time, I had 47% battery and 5 days and 4 hours left after recording a workout and using it 24/7. I would have loved to test the battery more in depth, but considering it's measured in weeks, not hours, that would have considerably delayed this review, and I wasn't able to do that. The company claims that the case can charge the ring around 15 to 20 times from 0 to 100, theoretically adding 150 to 200 plus days of use. You could theoretically go over half a year without connecting the case or the ring to the electricity grid at all, just using the battery inside the thing. And it seems to charge the ring pretty quickly too. In my limited testing of just quickly throwing it in the case in my bag before an exam, it went from around 45% to full in around an hour, based on the notification I got that it was at 100%. I entirely gave up on sleep tracking with the Apple Watch, and now I can finally start having that data again because this just lasts seemingly forever.
So really quickly, I wanted to reshoot this part because I kind of started ranting a bit. I just wanted to change a bit of what I said. I think I was a bit too harsh on their practices considering that the health data here isn't absolutely top secret sensitive. This is like stuff I'm publishing, so not the worst. I can imagine that there are people who care about this more than I do, which is why I'm mentioning it at all. I took a look at the privacy policy because as a health service, you want it to probably be pretty locked down. I think it's a terrible idea to make cloud syncing absolutely mandatory for this. There should be an option for on-device readings and analysis without creating an account and sending data to RingConn, even if that means you don't get things like the sleep apnea detection. And that would also allow under 18s to use the product without saying they're not 18. I would like them to take a page out of Apple's book and end-to-end encrypt everything by default, but I also get that Apple Health has the ability to save info that's much more sensitive than what the RingConn collects, and that might be why they at least don't mention that anywhere in their privacy policy or marketing. I asked them a few questions to clarify things in their privacy policy as well that I had concern about personally. You can read the full email on screen now. I figured out the third question on my own. They use AWS as stated on the product page, but they don't say that in the privacy policy. Outside of that, I didn't receive any response from them. I sent that email out on the 16th and it's now the 23rd. Crucially, they don't sell any customer information, so it's good to know that the health data from my Ring isn't going to lead to them selling ads on, I don't know.
Finally, pricing. The second gen RingConn is available on their website for $300 US. Now, while that might sound expensive, that is currently the cheapest smart ring available on the market, considering that the Samsung Galaxy Ring comes in at $400 US and the newest Oura that just recently launched starts at $349 and jumps up to $500 US depending on your material and finish. They'll be shipping pre-orders around November, and all pre-orders come with free international shipping, which is a nice touch. So, with all that said, do I recommend the second gen RingConn? And in most cases, hell yeah. If you're looking for a way to track your fitness without locking yourself into an Apple Watch, I cannot recommend this enough. Even if you just want something to supplement your wrist tracker for things like sleep, which is realistically my main use case, it's really good. But if you're really concerned about privacy, or you're not about the ring form factor, or you're already happy with your Apple Watch, this isn't a strictly necessary purchase. This is more of a side grade compared to an upgrade, and it's definitely not a necessity. But it's really cool. And that's all. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up, maybe even hit subscribe. Maybe you know someone who would like one of these, maybe share this video with them. You can follow me over on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and everything else with the links on screen and in the description below. I'm shaking things up a bit. If you want more of me, you can click over here to check out my review of the CMF Buds Pro 2, or you can click over here to check out whatever YouTube thinks you'll like. Thanks again for watching. Happy 5,000 subscribers, happy Halloween, and I'll see you guys next time.